Cool. Thank you guys for watching this video. Today I'm going to talk about 10 different things that I'm looking for when I do an audit of a Google Ads account. I've done a lot of these audits working as the head of media buying for an advertising agency based in California, and now as the CEO of Levy Consulting. So let's talk about the first couple of things that I look at. The very first thing, if you're a business owner, I know that you probably are not the most familiar with the inside of this Google Ads account. So there's some things that, if you're a media buyer, maybe it's more common knowledge, but I think maybe if you're a business owner or CEO of a company, maybe it's less so. So the first thing that I look at is right here, this change history. I really like knowing, especially in an account that's really being actively managed, how frequently changes are being made in here. You see that we're looking at an account here. It says 0 changes. This is my test account, so there's probably shouldn't be a whole lot of changes in here. But if you come in here and you see a very low amount of activity, but you think the account's being really actively managed, that's the first red flag for me. I've audited a ton of ad accounts that maybe there's been an internal employee managing, or maybe there's been another agency managing. And a lot of times I'll come in here and there's been no changes in the last 30 days or the last 7 days. And that's a pretty good indicator of what the state of the rest of the ad account is going to be. If you jump in here and there's hundreds of thousands of changes, then there's probably a lot going on. Maybe there's even some automation at play. You can filter this too to see exactly who is making changes. User. So if you want to see what is Peter doing specifically, you can filter that down and see specific users. And so this is a good way. You'll see there's the AdWords systems, or the Google Ad systems now. You can see what's automated and what's human being is actually making. So I look at this a lot. You really would be surprised how many Google Ads accounts, even with high spend, have very little active management being done in here, which is definitely a red flag. And when you jump into other parts of the ad account, it will start making sense as to what you're seeing. The second thing that I look for is organization. So the real thing, and this kind of takes different colors in different campaigns. There's really a lot to organization, a lot to the effectiveness of your ad campaign within Google Ads. Is going to come down to how you've structured and organized those campaigns. But the big thing that I look for is on search, and that's just to make sure we don't have tons of keywords in any given ad group. So you'll see I have a few test campaigns in here that I've been using as some training for some of our new hires. If you come and look in these ad groups, you're going to see, first of all, navigate through. There'll be this keyword section. You'll come in. I have this one keyword in here. On the Google side, or this Google campaign, I again have one keyword for each one of these ad groups. It doesn't have to be one. And honestly, it could be more than one, as long as the keywords are very, very similar to each other. But if I'm seeing learn Bing keywords and learn Google keywords in the same ad group, that is really a red flag that there's maybe organizational things within the account that are not quite to the quality that they need to be. And the reason for that is it really stems around the quality score within the ad account. The Google quality score is built upon your expected click-through rate, which is based off your ad copy. Your ability to tailor ad copy is at the ad group level. Every keyword within the ad group will have the same copy. So if you have a bunch of different terms in there, you're not going to be able to have ad copy that is relevant for all of them. And so that ad copy relevancy and the ability to customize that copy is a huge lever that we have to make sure that we have the most relevant ads possible, which means we have the highest quality score possible, which delivers the lowest CPC, the highest click-through rate, the best results overall. So definitely something that I take a look at. Other organization things, I think for most lay users of Google Ads, is not as imperative that you're taking a look at that. And then the third thing I look at is actual quality scores. So while you're on this tab, the search keywords tab, you can customize your columns actually, let's not. I believe there's a section, yeah, quality score section. So you can pull in all of these. And I would just go through, click all of them, pull them in. What's going to happen when you pull these columns in, you're not going to see it here because I have not spent on this. This is a test account for us. But you'll see these sections here. Quality score, landing page experience, quality score historical, expected click-through rate, ad relevance. You'll see above average, below average for each one of these. Now, Google does not always know best, right? It's possible that you have a really good landing page and Google says you have a below average landing page, right? Those types of things are possible, but Google's evaluation of your ad copy, your landing page is a huge determinant of whether the campaign is going to be successful or not, right? Like we have to, as media buyers, blend what's good for the funnel and what's good for the business and what's going to get the most favorable response from Google. And so if you come in here and everything is below average, that's really a red flag. And there are reasons that that might be. I honestly have accounts myself where you come in here and the quality score on the landing page is 0 because in that funnel there's only one page and the click-through rates go to another funnel page or something, and so it looks like a high bounce rate. There is explanations for it, right? It's not like 100% of the time things are going to be above average glowing. But if you are sending traffic to your own website, you're keeping traffic on your own domain, you should see a pretty healthy number here. Your quality score is the overall determination of that, right? We want to see at least an average or above average here. And then ad relevance, really, there's no excuse for. This number, if you have low quality ad copy, that's something that we can, unless you're running into policy disapprovers or something, this is something that you can definitely move the needle on. Okay. So that is the quality score side of it. The other real high level thing that I look at is up here in tools and settings. I come into this conversion section because we're moving to this automated world, right? Automation, whether it's ChatGPT or any of these other tools, is picking up a lot. When I first started working in Google Ads, we didn't use any automation at all. Now we use an awful lot of it. We use automated bidding strategies, enhanced CPCs. There's a lot of automation that has snuck its way into a Google Ads account. And all of that automation is founded upon the data. So you'll see here, again, this is a test ad account, so there's a reason for it. But if I was spending on this, this would be not the screen you want to see. Set up Google Ads tracking. Literally, we don't have conversion tracking set up here. This is something that for sure you want to make sure that is on. And the specific conversion events that you'll see in here are quite important. Let's just throw my website on here for the sake of things and to walk through this activity. Okay, so ad conversion events. This is where you'll need to know your business a bit. But you'll see different types of conversions events in here. If you're driving to a sales purchase, you have to have a purchase on here. And I would argue this add to cart, really, there is not you get more value by having additional purchase or conversion events tracked. You don't get more value from having less things tracked. So in your funnel, I would opt towards making sure everything that could be tracked is tracked. So if you have a cart page, put an add to cart on it. If you have a purchase, put it. Begin checkout. If you have a multi-step checkout flow, you'll see different lead events that you have in here. Book an appointment, get directions, and then page views, which I use a lot. If I have maybe a video sales letter in a funnel, I want to track the conversion rate of that page, and I can do that type of calculation based off of a pixel page view, label it correctly, right? I will usually do things like page view, something like that. You would even put the slug of the page, right? But definitely we want to make sure that all of the essential conversion events are being tracked in here. And then the reason for that I already alluded to is the automation. But how do we see that? So what I'm looking for is specifically automation and bidding. And so you'll see here, I pull in this column in an ad account that I actively manage. You'll see this bid strategy type quite a bit. If you come here to columns, you can modify columns and you can pull that in. Bid strategy type. I also, if I'm using like TCPA, which I use a lot, I might come in here and I might look for the target CPA. If I'm using a target ROAS bid strategy, I might come in here and look for this target ROAS and pull these in. Really, the life cycle of a bid strategy on Google, if we're using automation, we'll usually start on this maximize conversions bid strategy. You cannot use an efficiency bid strategy, which I would call like target CPA or target ROAS. Those are the more efficiency focused. These maximize conversions, maximize clicks doesn't have any efficiency baked into it. It's just get as many conversions as possible with my budget. Whereas when we put TCPA, there's some efficiency guardrails around it. We cannot use TCPA TROAS unless there's 50 conversions minimum on a campaign in the last 30 days. So take a look at it. Filter it by last 30 days. Take a look at how many conversions are here. If you see something like target ROAS or target CPA here, and this number is 0 or this number is 9, then literally this campaign bid strategy is not effective. It's not going to be doing what you want it to be doing. We need to start these out on maximize conversions and then switch them over once we have 50 conversions here. I tend to, if we have spent fairly little in an ad account, I tend to wait a little bit past 50. Honestly, even further than 50, like 150 might be a good number if it's a cold ad account, has never spent in it before. If you're spending at scale and you got a lot of campaigns, usually I almost maybe might go faster than 50 because I think there's more data in the ad account to pull from. It really just depends on how much data is there, but 50 is a really good number to think about. And in terms of effectiveness, it won't really work before 50. Manual CPC could work, could not work. This would be something that I would want to look at the actual CPC bids that are in there. But really, how we're managing search campaigns these days, we're not doing a lot of manual bidding. Google automation has really improved quite a bit over the last 10 years. And so the automated bidding options have become a lot more effective than the manual bidding. And Google, this is a conspiracy theory or maybe, but I think Google really prioritizes these campaigns that are using automation. If you have a campaign that's on that target CPA bid strategy versus a manual CPC, it seems like those target CPA campaigns are getting favor when the auction occurs, when ads are serving, those target CPA campaigns are getting favored. And so I would think that's kind of the best practice from my side. Again, different media buyers can use different bid strategies. The important thing to know is, can you use it? If it's a target CPA, if it's a target ROAS, and you don't have the conversions to support it, that to me is the mark of a wasteful budgeting. This bid strategy type is not efficient, but it also is a sign that maybe whoever is managing your ad account's not paying enough attention to that. Another thing that I look at is down here in locations. When you look at locations, you will see targeted locations and you will see matched locations. Flip over to the matched locations tab and see what it looks like. I will tell you a ton of times I get ad accounts that are targeting locations that they should not be, because in the settings, let's look at a specific campaign. Okay, so in the settings, you will see location options. So you can see we're targeting the United States. This is actually what I would say is where the likelihood for an issue arises. Presence or interest, people in, regularly in, or who have shown interest in your targeted location. We're talking United States. Even, I don't know, if you're targeting Bhutan, one of the least trafficked countries in the world, there's a lot of people searching for that who are not physically there. Who, if your demographic is people physically in the United States and targeting people who are interested in the United States, because let's be honest, if you're Googling the name of a country or engaged in that type of activity that might lead Google to believe you're interested, you're probably a student doing a report on the United States or Bhutan or something, whereas people physically in the United States are not searching for those types of terms. So this setting right here is quite important. People in or regularly in your target location, right? This is what you want to be targeting, and then people in your excluded location for the exclusions. I will tell you, a ton of times people come to us with an ad account and it's got all this traffic from India or some other country, and it's because this setting right here is put incorrectly. Okay. Let's go back to the keywords for a second. We've talked about the keywords that are in your ad account. The other important thing to do is search the search terms. So there are a couple of things I look for here. One is I don't like to see a huge percentage of spend that is not added excluded. You can put this filter added excluded. If it's none, proportionally, I don't like none being super high. There are different types of campaigns with different types of match types, so the actual percentage of it will vary. But if this, let's say, is above 75%, that means, and do it based off of spend, not necessarily number of keywords or something, but if 90% of your spend is through keywords that are not actively added or excluded, that means 90% of your traffic is not being managed by the Google Ads account. It's kind of peripheral spend that's coming in. If it's added, if it's excluded, that tells you that people, whoever your ad manager is actively managing these queries that are coming through. The other thing to do here is think critically about your brand. If your brand has, think brands like Delta Faucets. If I was auditing an account for Delta Faucets, I would come in here and I would search the term river. And I want to see what percentage of my spend has the word river in it, because that's a pretty common, I think, peripheral term to the word Delta that might pop up. I would search airlines. I would search ticket. What else? I would search Greek life, the other things that my sorority or something could have that with it. But think critically about your brand name. I have audited accounts for construction time-lapse cameras, and you come in here and search CamGirl, and 90% of their spend is going to CamGirl terms, which I'm pretty sure those are not the people who are buying a time-lapse camera for construction purposes. Maybe they're buying it for other purposes. But think critically about what other terms might be associated with the brand or peripheral. Think about terms that you'd want to make sure are not serving ads, and come in here and search for them and see what's going on. If you're targeting a specific local area, I specifically work in the Washington, D.C. area. Come in here and make sure you don't have Baltimore terms popping up, right? But definitely this is a tab that I see a lot of times when we have accounts in trouble. I'll come into this tab and you'll definitely learn a lot there. Other things that I look for, number of ads. This is really true across every type of campaign within a Google Ads account, but on search specifically, you want to have more than one ad. If you click into this ad group, and this is an ad group level, if you click from the whole high level of an account, you'll see a ton of ads because you have multiple ad groups. But click into your, maybe a good way, the way I would do it is I would come in here, I would look at my ad groups, and I would grab the highest spending one, sort by spend, and take the highest spending one, and click into it. These are all test campaigns I made for a video that I recorded earlier this morning, so none of these have any ads in here at all. which is another red flag. But I want to see multiple ads in here, at least 2. We now are working with these responsive search ads, so you don't need as many as we used to have. I used to have about 3 in here for the best practice. We don't need 3 anymore, but at least have 2. Right? There's got to be some testing and optimization that's going on, not just one ad static. So look for the number of ads and look at the completeness of these ads. Again, this is from scratch, empty, so it's going to be kind of empty, but this is optional. Fill it in, right? Like, you should have something in here. Your final URL is required, so it would have to be filled out. You'll have a bunch of different headline options. You need to have 3. You can't serve an ad without 3. But really, we should have more than 3. I like to have not necessarily every single one filled out, but definitely multiple options. Usually how I write ads is I'll put a headline 1, and then I'll specify headline 1, and then I'll come in here and I'll do another headline 1 variant, and I'll do another headline 1 variant. The reason for this is if you search for a specific term, it kind of makes sense, right? So this is the first headline. This is the second headline. And so I think that there's like a natural rhythm to writing ad copy, right? Like this has the brand name, and then there's another headline in here, and it's like I tend to write them in series, right? Maybe men's. This is a good example of what not to do, right? This to me reads like someone came in here and just wrote a bunch of generic ad headlines, and then men's ethical loungewear could be headline 1, could be headline 2. It's kind of just generic. Eco-friendly men's apparel. These are, to me, kind of compete for the same spot. They don't tell a different part of the story. Whereas what I might do is headline 1 should be relevant to this query I put in. So I would say sustainable men's clothing, headline 1. And maybe I put something else in headline 2, like leading brand in sustainable fashion. Maybe that's good headline 2. Free shipping on orders over $75. Maybe that's my headline 3. And then I build out different variations of that. So maybe instead of sustainable men's clothing, maybe I do men's sustainable apparel or something like that as different options for headline 1, different options for headline 2, different options for headline 3. That's my personal preference on it, but just make sure that this is complete. And then once you've looked at the ad with the descriptions, you'll see these site links and stuff. All of these site links will live here under assets, which this is another important part of this ad experience, right? If you look at this, this is what we just looked at. This image, this location, all of these are under assets, and they really matter in the overall effectiveness of your ad, but we wouldn't see it on that ad tab. You need to have site links. Unless there's some limitation, you need to have a unique page for every site link on your ad. You can't reuse the same landing page multiple times. But unless you have some reason why you can't do that, have 4 site links at minimum. Callouts need to be completed. It's just literally, if you look on here, these are the callouts. So you see a whole line and a half of text that if you didn't fill that out, you're not going to get it. And that's probably a part of why this ad is in position 1 and this ad is not, right? They have generic copy and they have no site links. So of course, the complete ad with the tailored ad experience is going to be serving above that. Structured snippet, again, easy to do it. Fill it out. Call extensions only if you have a call funnel Lead form only if you have a lead form funnel. And honestly, there's a lot of nuance to using the lead form, so that's not as much of an essential one. If you're doing an e-com promo, put some products on a price extension. It gives you just more real estate on the page. Put a promotion extension on here, even if it's save 10% to join my email list. You'll see the location extension is what we are looking at right here. And that's pretty much it on the extension side, but just make sure that you have complete ads and make sure that there is at least more than one of them. So that is the 8th and the 9th thing that I would look at. The very last thing that I would leave you with is check to see if you have Performance Max campaigns running. You'll see here I do not, because again, it's a test campaign, but we are moving in a time where automation is really picking up, right? Like we are using more and more Google automation, and Google Performance Max is kind of the newest rendition of that, and it is working really, really well, especially if you have an ad account with ample data. If you have a brand new ad account, it's not the best thing to use right off the bat with no data. But when you have a lot of data in your ad account, we should absolutely be testing and using Performance Max, unless there's some keyword that you absolutely can't serve on for legal reasons or something. We should be trying Google Performance Max. It's been working really well. Most of the time I see it as the best performing in terms of efficiency segment of the ad account. So definitely take a look at that. See if you have a Performance Max campaign running. Again, it all comes back to data. So if you come in here to the conversions tab and there's no conversion set up, no conversions data, then you can't use it yet. But as long as there is ample spend going through the account, ample conversions getting recorded, then we should for sure be using that. So those are 10 things that I look for when I'm doing a Google Ads audit. There's an infinite number of little rabbit holes that you can look at. And trust me, I go down a lot of rabbit holes, but that will get you a lot of what you need to look for. The rest of it is just looking for inconsistencies in the data, looking at things like the ages, and if you are tracking a CPA as your objective and you have high CPA for one audience and it's the most spent, those types of inconsistencies in the data is really the rest of what I look for in an audit, and just go down those little rabbit holes, whether that is landing page data or ad data or audience data. It really doesn't matter. But if you pay attention to those 10 things, you will have a pretty good indicator of what the state of your current ad account is in. If you want a free audit of your current ad account or a free media plan for a product or a funnel that you have, feel free to reach out to us. I'll build a media plan. I'll do an account audit completely free, no sales pitch or expectation around it. And my contact information should be on this YouTube channel. My email is just peter@lavie.agency if you would like anything like that. So I'll talk to you guys soon and have a new YouTube video up soon.